Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Sarah Baumert. I'm a yoga teacher, Feldenkrais practitioner, and host of the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. The Sarah B. Yoga podcast and my practice, Body Matter, is an interdisciplinary learning space where we explore the many ways that movement can help facilitate body acceptance and awareness, reduce pain and stress, regulate the nervous system, and build strength and ease. My teaching plays with the synthesis of Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons, traditional yoga asana, creative imagery, breathing exercises, self-massage, and a compassionate mindset to help you feel a greater sense of ease and comfort in yourself. Sarah B. Yoga and Body Matter have a lot of other program offerings. These podcasts are just a taste of my teaching. Each week I teach a range of online classes, including a gentle yoga class, a level 2 class for more advanced students, and Feldenkrais classes with monthly themes, anatomy lessons, and Q&A sessions for more in-depth study. I have 2 new online series offerings for the fall. A Feldenkrais series titled Coming to Your Senses, an exploration of the spaces of the eyes, the mouth, jaw, ears, vocal and breathing apparatus. And my second course, Wakeful Body, the blending of yoga and Feldenkrais on Monday nights. As one student recently described Monday nights, that felt like I just gave myself a massage. So these fall classes will be a continuation of some fan favorite stretching sequences that incorporate bolsters and other props to enhance the poses. There is still plenty of time to join these courses live or via the course recordings. You can find more information about these offerings in the show notes. Okay, on to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Hello and welcome to episode 48 of the Sarah B. Yoga podcasts. I'm Sarah Baumert, your host and teacher. Today we are going to do a practice that is focused on symmetry as a way to help stabilize the sacroiliac joint and also just to balance out the right and the left side. So we won't be doing too many poses that are lunges or warriors or one-leg forward poses due to this focus of today's class. So we're going to get started right away. For props, you'll need a blanket and a block, and if you don't have either of those, you can always do without. A towel or some other kind of non-yoga blanket is always fine as well. So beginning, we will lie down on our back. So take a moment to set out your yoga mat, make sure everything's put away, turned off, and you're ready for your practice. So lying down on your back, let your knees bend. So the soles of the feet are on the floor about hips distance. And close the eyes. Begin to transition. Transitions are really important parts of our lives, and this is a very small transition from being vertical with the spine to being horizontal with the spine, as well as transitioning from whatever you've been working on throughout the day to your yoga practice. Shifting a little bit, letting your eyes close, feeling the frontal brain start to relax, the forehead widen, so that your hind brain, this area that senses and feels, can start to take over, can start to become a little bit more active, possibly more active than it's been so far today. allowing your attention to come to your breathing, feeling the breath in, expand and open the chest, and letting the breath out. Gently bring you into some abdominal awareness as the navel pulls down towards the spine. Letting that flow of breath in and out through the nose become very fluid. Imagining that your torso is full of liquids. The torso is as if the torso is a container of fluid that the breath starts to jostle around. And then with our breath, we're going to do a small action of rocking the pelvis. So you're going to imagine that you have a marble right at your belly button. And as you breathe in, the lower back will lift a little bit and arch, and that marble would roll down towards your pubic bone. As you breathe out, reverse the action so that the marble rolls back to the navel and the lower back softens into the floor. Continue these two actions, inhaling, tipping the pelvis, letting the lower back come away from the floor, which will gently arch the back, and exhaling, drawing the top part of the pelvis towards the earth, lower back will feel the ground. And as you're taking this rocking action in the pelvis, try not to make it too muscular. Try not to use your abdominal muscles or your butt muscles too much. Really let it be an efficient movement. And start to release any tension or any areas of holding throughout the spine, the rib cage, into the neck and the jaw. The more that you can release that tension, the more you'll start to feel this rocking of the pelvis start to wave up the spine all the way to the head. If you're released enough, the head will start to do a small little rock as well, as if you're nodding yes. So just kind of looking for that, not forcing it to happen, but just feeling if your head is also able to move or if it's stuck in place. If so, maybe releasing a bit through the shoulders, the neck, anywhere that you feel tight today. Good. So from here, we're going to add 2 movements to the sequence. So it will be a total of 4 movements. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Coordinating those movements with the breath. So let's start with what we're doing already. The inhaling, that gently arches the back. The exhale draws the lower back towards the floor. Now on your next breath in, you're going to start to peel the tail and the sacrum off the floor for a small bridge pose. As you do that, reach the arms up towards the ceiling and all the way overhead. So they're back onto the floor overhead, and you're in a lifted bridge pose. Keep the hips lifted as you exhale, really blowing the air out through the nose, and then hold the air out. As you're holding the air out, slowly lower the pelvis back to the floor and reverse the arms, bringing the arms back alongside the body. Then we start up at the very top with the tip and tilt of the pelvis. You inhale, gently arching the lower back, feeling the marble roll from the navel towards the pubic bone. Exhale, the marble rolls back to the navel, lower back comes to the floor. As you begin to breathe in, lifting into a bridge pose, taking the arms up and all the way overhead. Keep the hips lifted. Exhale there, feeling the navel draw towards the spine, a little bit of Uddiyana Bandha. Hold the air out, and then articulate vertebra by vertebra as you lower the hips back down. I'll tuck us through one more. Breathing in, tipping the pelvis. Breathing out, rolling the lower back into the floor. Let that movement shift right into your next breath in as you start to peel the spine off the floor, reaching the arms, extending the arms alongside the ears. Then the hips stay lifted as you exhale, dropping the abdomen down towards the spine. Hold the air out and slowly lower down. You're going to do one more round on your own, allowing your breath to get very full, longer exhalations, more luscious exhalations. Really like you're massaging the spine with your breath. When you finish that round, you can draw your knees into your chest, giving them a hug in with your hands. And from there, we're going to start to move into just a little bit of abdominal work and opening of the hips. So taking your right knee with both hands, lift the left leg straight up towards the ceiling. Flex the foot. So right knee is hugged into your chest, left leg is lifted up. Keep the lower back on the floor and start to lower the left leg down until it's just hovering. Extending out through the left leg. On your exhalation, lift the head and the shoulders, bringing the forehead and the right knee towards one another. Keep the chest broad and release your hands from the right knee, but maintain your position. Extend your arms forward, feeling the navel dropping down towards the spine. Breathe here, taking a breath in, a breath out. And then inhaling, slowly lower the head back to the floor. Start to draw the left knee towards you. You're going to cross your right ankle over the left thigh for figure four, reaching the right arm through the leg. And then you can interlace the fingers back behind the left thigh. Making sure that your head is resting either on the floor or on a blanket. We'll spend just a few breaths here starting to wake up the outer hip area. If you have some SI instability, you don't want to overstretch this area. It can be tight, but sometimes it's because it's weak. So loosening it up, but not too much. We're looking for that balance. So really flexing the right toes, pulling the right toes towards the right knee. And take one more long exhalation here. Extend your right leg straight up and just shift your arm position so that the left knee is hugging into your chest. So left knee into the chest, right leg lifts straight to the ceiling. Flex the right foot. Slowly start to lower the right leg down until it's just hovering off the floor. Breathe in, grow longer. Breathe out, lifting the head and the shoulders, bringing the forehead towards the right knee. And then releasing the hands from the knee, extending the arms forward, holding here. Feeling the lower belly narrowing towards the midline. Good. Gently releasing your head back to the floor. You're going to bring your right knee towards your chest. Cross your left ankle over the right thigh. Thread the left hand through the hole that you're making with the legs and draw the legs in your figure 4 stretch. Flexing the left toes back, opening the left knee away from the left shoulder. And just noticing if there's a big difference between the right and the left side. Usually one hip is a lot tighter than the other. Well, also just knowing that that's quite normal, depending on our dominant side. Also the nature of the way that we were designed. If you look at any picture of the organs, you won't see too much symmetry there. That being said, the structure, the muscles, the way that the bones are placed, the more balanced those are, the less discomfort and pain we'll have. So taking one more breath here. And then just gently releasing out of the pose. Roll to your side. And we're going to come up to sit, sitting up on a folded blanket, bringing the sitting bones up onto the blanket. You're going to stretch your legs straight forward for dandasana and place a block right back behind you, kind of right behind your blanket. So extending the legs forward, flex the feet, feeling the thigh bones begin to engage, the thigh muscles, the quadriceps begin to engage, but your thigh bones are rooting into the floor. And then just noticing if the lower back is really rounding. So if it is quite a lot, you could lift yourself up a little bit higher on a second blanket. Take your right hand back to your sacrum and just gently move your sacrum forward. And then lifting the lumbar spine up away from the pelvis, feeling a subtle lift of the rib cage. Shoulders stay quiet and dropping. From there, you're going to take your hands back to your block so that the fingertips are moving away from you. The fingertips can even curl over the edge of the block. If your shoulders are really tight, you maybe would want a second block so that your hands don't have to be so close together. You're going to gently bend the elbows and draw the elbows towards one another. Just a really small bend of the elbows. Keep your torso vertical and roll the outer shoulders back, feeling your shoulder blades press forward onto your back. That's going to start to open up the chest. Taking a few breaths in here into the top 3 ribs. That very first rib is right behind the collarbones. Imagining that, inhale, filling that space, expanding wide across the chest, letting your sternum lift. And on your next breath in, open the throat by lifting the chin and gently dropping the head back. Exhale, bring the chin in towards the chest, tucking it slightly to the sternum, but keep the chest very buoyant and broad. One more time like that, lifting the chin, opening the throat. And exhale, drawing the chin in, drawing the navel back, feeling your sacrum continue to press forward. Good. Gently release out of that pose, set your block and your blanket aside and come on up to your hands and your knees. Planting the palms firmly, turn the toes under and reach back into downward facing dog. Soften your gaze. Allow your knees to bend slightly if the hamstrings are feeling overstretched or tight. And bending the knees can also help you create full length in your spine. And letting your inner thighs move back and gently apart. The front of the groin deepens and hollows back as the sitting bones lift. Feel a micro bend in the elbows and hug the elbows and the forearms towards one another. As you do that, see if you can feel the upper back broaden. Breathing in, we're going to come forward into high plank. Shoulders over wrists, sternum extends forward. Inhale and grow longer from head to tail, feeling the crown of the head open, forward, out in front of you. And breathing out, lifting the navel towards the spine. Gently engage the quadriceps and feel the inner thighs lifting towards the ceiling without shifting your tail up. So your tailbone is reaching for your heels. And see if you can reach the tailbone for the heels at the same time that the inner thighs are trying to lift. Those two actions should balance each other out. Take another breath in here. And as you exhale, lower your knees to the floor. We're going to move into dog in prayer. Your knees will stay your hips will stay right over your knees. Walk your hands forward about a hand's distance and take your hands as wide as your mat. Then bring the forehead down to the floor, keeping your arms straight, reaching through the arms. The elbows and the forearms stay off the floor. Weight comes into the finger pads. Make sure that your hips didn't reach all the way back to your heels like they would in child's pose. So your hips are right over your knees. And the side body extends long. Using your exhalation to keep support in the lower back. And noticing if there's a stronger reach through one side, if there's a tightness or a holding in another side. Now in this dog in prayer, we're going to work through a round of kapalabhati breathing. If you're unfamiliar with this and you want to skip this part, that's fine. So it's a strong exhale out through the nose, which is going to help you feel that abdominal engagement, which will help support the lower back. So on your exhalation, the breath is going to sound like this. It'll be a quick, strong exhale out through the nose, and the inhale just comes without you needing to do much work. So keeping the forehead down on the floor, take a full breath in through both nostrils, and start about a round of 30 exhales out through the nose. Good. When you're done, take a full breath in. As you exhale, you're going to start to round into a cat spine, keeping your hands and your knees where they're at. Lift the navel up into the back, curling the spine, dropping your chin into your chest, and then ripple the body forward so the thighs and the hips come forward, and you'll use your arms to lower yourself down, moving right through a cobra pose, and then coming all the way down to the floor with your chest. Slide your hands back so they're right alongside the ribs, taking a breath in, coming up and forward, either into small cobra or all the way into upward facing dog. Keeping the legs extending back, a reach from the inner thighs all the way to the big toes. Sternum guides up towards the chin, letting the front of the throat open, allowing your head to drop back if your neck is safe and okay with that today. You'll use your next exhalation to bring the hips back and up into downward facing dog. Good. Slowly look back at your feet. Make sure your feet are hips distance and walk your hands back to your feet for Uttanasana. Bring the fingertips to the floor right in front of the feet. If that's a little bit difficult for you, you can take your hands to the front of the shins. Inhale and lift into a flat back, and pause here in your flat back with the arms straight, fingertips pressing into the floor. Keep a little bend of your knees. Even though the knees are bent, I want you to feel that the inner thighs are shifting back. The sitting bones start to pull and lift gently away from the backs of the knees. Exhale the navel up towards the spine, and then reach the sternum forward towards the chin. As you do that, make sure that the head doesn't lift. So as your sternum is reaching forward, gently tuck the chin in so that so that the back of the neck stays very long. Broaden the collarbones and feel the outer shoulders move back towards your pelvis. Take one more breath in here, and a full breath out. As you breathe in, grow a bit longer. As you breathe out, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, extend back up into your flat back. And exhale, fold forward. Now releasing the hands, inhale, sweep the arms out and up, come all the way up to stand, bring the palms overhead, taking the palms together, exhale the hands down through center. Release the arms alongside the body. Breathing in, sweep the arms forward and up, bend the knees for Utkatasana. Feeling the weight shift back towards your heels. The knees tracking forward with the toes. And the inner arches stay lifted. Good. Shift forward so that the spine is parallel to the floor. The arms will stay reaching forward. So we're in a flat back Utkatasana. Inhale here. And as you exhale, bring the belly, the ribs, and the chest down onto the thighs. Hands can come down and slowly fold into your Uttanasana, dropping the head. Take a breath in, extend through flat back. Exhale, fold forward. And bending the knees, come right back up into Utkatasana, this time with the arms parallel to the floor. And we're going to do another round of kapalabhati breathing. Getting nice and low with the pelvis. If you prefer to take your feet and your knees all the way together, you can do that. Soften the jaw, soften the tongue. Take a breath in through both nostrils. And exhaling. Staying in your Utkatasana, release the kapalabhati breath. Inhale through both nostrils, reach the arms up alongside the ears, and drop the hips 2 more inches. Steady the gaze, soften your focus. Good. Straightening the legs, you're going to fold forward, reaching the arms out, diving forward into Uttanasana. Gently tuck the chin. Take a breath in. And a breath out, front of the hips, hollow back. The mind softens. Good. Inhale all the way up to stand, reaching the arms out and up. Bring the palms together. Drop the arms, the hands down through center, all the way alongside the body. Inhale, bending the knees, Utkatasana. We'll do that whole sequence again. Exhale, tip forward into low Utkatasana. Sitting bones move back. Side ribs are coming forward. Sensing the spine parallel to the floor. And then slowly start to round, dropping down over the bent knees. Fingertips come to the floor, drop the head. Now straighten the legs, finding Uttanasana. Take a breath into your flat back. Exhale, fold. Bending the knees back into Utkatasana. Arms will be parallel to the floor. Starting a round of kapalabhati, breathing inhale. Exhale. Releasing the kapalabhati breath, taking the arms up alongside the ears, reaching through elbows all the way to fingertips. Take the weight farther back into the heels, drop the hips 2 more inches. And exhale, dive forward, straighten the legs, folding into Uttanasana. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here in Uttanasana. If your hamstrings are open enough, you can grab your block and fold your blanket up on top of your block so that the top of your head rests right onto your props. Now, if you just can't attain that today, or you don't have enough props to build up a little step for the top of the head, then no worries. You can kind of forget about that reaching of the head into the props. Wherever you're at, you're going to take your hands back behind the heels, hugging the elbows a little bit into the legs, and feeling the shoulders lift away from the floor. Taking a deep stretch of the hamstrings. Slowing the exhale down, calming the nervous system with these forward folds. Pressing equally into the right foot and the left foot, rooting down into the earth. Feeling your quadriceps engage up towards the pelvis. Slowly releasing the hands from behind the heels, setting your props aside if you're using them, and start to walk the hands forward out into downward facing dog. Really using your arms to press the hips back and feel the full length of your spine. Using our breath to create space and balance on both sides of the body, allowing that space to enter the lower back, space between each of the vertebrae. We'll inhale forward into high plank. Pausing here again, spreading the collarbones broad, feeling the crown of the head extend forward. The tailbone reaches to the heels. As the tailbone reaches to the heels, the inner thighs lift. Feeling the lower belly Draw up, doming up towards the lower back. Challenging this by taking your feet all the way together at the back of the mat. And just lift your right leg up an inch or so. Keep reaching out through the right leg. Exhale, place the right toes back to the floor, back in your plank. And then left leg will lift up just an inch or so. Left leg stays long. Good. Taking the left foot back to the floor. So both feet on the floor in our plank. We'll slowly move through a vinyasa. You can come all the way to the floor or through chaturanga. Breathing into up dog or small cobra. Letting the front of the belly open. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Great. Bring your knees to the floor and drop your forearms down. You're going to bring your elbows so that they're a little bit more narrow than the shoulders and interlace your fingers. So you're making almost a triangle shape with the forearms. Take your gaze to your thumbs. Spread collarbones wide and feel the shoulder blades move towards your pelvis. Turn your toes under and start to lift the hips up into a dolphin pose. So the shape of the body is very similar to down dog. We just have the forearms on the floor. As you exhale, lift your hips higher and start to pick the heels up. As the heels lift, take the hips up. Try not to shift too far forward with your shoulders. You really want to go up. The more up you go, the easier it's going to be for you to walk your feet a little closer towards your elbows. And then you can start to drop the head, bringing the crown of the head right between the wrists onto the floor. So this is a headstand prep. Making sure that you're not rounding the lower back and rounding the shoulders. If you've never done headstand before, this is as far as you're going to go without guidance of a teacher with you. If you're a little bit more advanced and have a headstand practice, start to take the feet a little closer in, feeling that the spine is vertical and that the upper back isn't rounding too much. Using your abdominals to start to float the legs up. This is a good time for you to move to a wall for support. Take a moment to shift your mat to the wall. And if you're still in this headstand prep, you can start to press the forearms into the floor so that the head comes off the floor again and just feel your neck long. Think about everything you do when you're in downward facing dog and you're trying to take the pelvis back in space and lift up. Knowing when your pose is done, when you get tired and the alignment starts to fail. At that time, you can come down to child's pose and take a rest. If you're up in your headstand, feel the inner thighs zipping, lifting up towards the heels, making sure that the lower back doesn't arch. As you're upside down, the navel will hug back into the spine, just as it was doing when we were practicing plank pose. And just taking a few more breaths wherever you're at as a way to finish your practice, your inversion practice, and then meeting in child's pose. And from child's pose, we'll bring the hands to the back of the head, draw the chin into the chest, take the forehead towards the knees, and gently round the upper back and the neck. And then from there, the hands will come back to the floor. Lifting to hands and knees, turn the toes under, and press back into a little squat. So the feet will be together, the knees can widen, and the upper arms will come to the insides of the legs. You may be able to reach the forearms to the floor. Drop your head and drop your tail. And let the weight of the head hang here for a breath or two. As you're exhaling, imagine the navel area doming up, helping to round and open up the lower back. We're preparing in this squat for crow pose, bakasana, and crow pose is very dependent on the abdomen. So you'll use your exhale to lift up. Start to take the gaze forward, keeping your hands planted on the floor. Hands will be shoulders distance. Take a small bend of the elbows so that the elbows bend straight back. The elbow pit should be facing forward. And then start to slide your knees up the backs of the arms, up towards the armpits. Take the gaze forward towards the front of the mat, reach the sternum forward, and exhale strongly, lifting the navel into the lower back. So your lower back still is rounding. With that support of the belly pulling up, the weight may come off the feet, shifting it forward towards your hands. Steady breath, soft focus, relaxed in the jaw and the tongue. Feeling the front body, the abdomen, drawing up into the back body. Great. When you're ready, taking your feet back to the floor and coming to your hands and your knees. On breath in, reach the right arm up towards the ceiling, twisting the body to the right, taking the gaze up. As you exhale, we'll thread the right arm underneath the left arm, bringing the right side of the head to the floor. Try not to collapse the right ear or the right side of the neck into the earth. Really slide your right arm through, feeling a stretch in the upper back towards the middle back as you take this twist. We're moving into a few twists, which will be the most asymmetric poses that we'll do today. Working in a gentle way without forcing, and letting your breath deepen the twist rather than that muscular press or push. Slowly come back to your hands and your knees. Inhale the left arm up, twisting open towards the ceiling, taking the gaze up towards your left hand, and threading the left arm underneath the right. Try to get the left shoulder blade to reach and unstick itself from the back. Make sure that the left ear and left side of the neck doesn't collapse towards the floor. Rib cage twisting to the right. Breath allowing for movement in the spine. gently untwist. And we're going to come back to sit in dandasana like we did at the beginning of the class. Prop yourself up onto your blanket again and reach the legs forward. Taking the legs so that they're hips distance. Now bend your right knee so that the sole of the right foot slides up towards the right sitting bone, keeping about a fist distance between your right foot and your right foot and left leg. Bring the left fingertips back behind you. Inhale the right arm tall up alongside the ear, growing the spine long. As you exhale, the right elbow will come to the inside of the right leg, pressing the right leg and the right arm into one another. Begin to twist to the left, opening the left chest and lung. Continue to root down through your left thigh bone as if you're standing on the left thigh bone, moving the sacrum forward gently to reverse any rounding in the lower back. If your hips start to cramp in this pose, you may be working too much the right arm and the right leg into one another. So just soften that action. Take one more breath here. And exhale to slowly release, extending your right leg long, bending your left leg, bringing the left foot to the floor, keeping a fist distance between your left foot and right leg. Right fingertips come behind you. Inhale the left arm alongside the ear. Keep that length in the spine, and exhale the left arm comes to the inner left leg. Using the press of the arm and the leg into one another to create a little leverage for the rib cage to twist to the right. Fluid breath moves into the lower back, staying soft in your neck and your jaw. Exhaling, releasing out of the pose, extending your left leg, bringing your right knee into the chest again, stepping the right foot to the floor, a slightly different twist here. The right fingertips will come back behind us. Inhale the left arm up, growing tall. As you exhale, either wrap the left arm around the right knee or bring the left elbow to the outside of the knee, if you have that suppleness in the body. Making sure that the lower back doesn't round again. So sacrum is coming forward, rib cage is buoyant, chest open. We'll close the eyes here, feeling the forehead widen and the frontal brain soften, as if there's light flooding into the forehead area. We'll take a very subtle counter twist in the lower belly. So the lower belly is going to twist to the left. We'll work that on your exhalation. As the lower belly is twisting to the left, the ribs and the chest maintain their twist to the right. And then turning your chin so it moves over your left shoulder, without losing the twist in your shoulders. Your right shoulder is twisting to the right. You feel the sternum grow tall. Your tongue is wide and soft. We'll exhale to gently release out of that and moving into the second side. The right leg lengthens, the left knee bends, set the left foot to the floor. Reaching the left fingertips back behind you. Inhale, right arm reaches high. Exhale, wrapping the right arm around the left leg or bringing the right elbow to the outside of the knee. Making sure you're not leaning back. The sacrum comes forward. We'll close the eyes. Firmly press the right thigh bone down into the floor. As you exhale, the lower belly will counter twist to the right as you maintain the twist of the ribs and the shoulders to the left. Slowly turning the head to the right so that the chin is over the right shoulder, feeling a sense of lightness flood into the forehead. I'll gently exhale and release. Extending your left leg long and then come forward off of the blanket, slide the blanket aside, lower all the way onto your back. Take your feet out so they're as wide as your mat and let your knees knock in towards one another. Take a breath in. As you exhale, lift the tail and the sacrum off the floor so you're in just a hovering bridge pose. And slowly lower the hips back to the floor. Do that about 4 or 5 more times. Knees are going forward, hips lift up, just an inch or 2. Lift and lower. Staying connected to your breath. Next time that your hips come back to the floor, walk your feet all the way together so the inside edges of the feet touch and the inner legs touch. Keeping the legs together, rock your knees to the right and to the left, rocking back and forth, letting the floor massage the back of the pelvis and the outer hip muscles. And then bringing the knees right to center. Take the knees in towards your chest without using the hands, just hugging the knees in. And you're going to start to make a figure 8 motion with the sacrum. So whatever that means to you, using the back of the pelvis and feeling a figure 8 motion, it's going to move your legs and your knees a little side to side in a figure 8 motion as well. Just letting that action be fluid from the spine all the way down into the sacrum and the pelvis. Again, allowing the floor to be a massage. And then releasing your feet back to the floor. Take your feet as wide as the mat again, wider than hips. Knock your knees together. Take 3 or 4 more of your pelvic lifts, lifting and lowering. When you're finished with that, you can release the legs long. As we set up for Shavasana, take your hands and interlace the fingers at the back of the neck, right at the base of the skull, and pull the head away from the shoulders, creating some traction in the neck. And once you feel like you've created some length in the neck, you can release the hands from behind the head, set the head back to the floor, and take the arms alongside the body as we prepare for Shavasana. Feeling your right foot and your left foot. And noticing if there's a difference. Perhaps one foot feels more weighted and the other foot feels more light or vibrant. And with your attention, bring a balance to the feeling of your feet. Feeling your right leg and your left leg. Shift your attention all the way to the pelvis. Noticing if one side of the pelvis feels more weighted or more light. And without actually moving, without doing any sort of muscular action, see if you can feel the pelvis moving more towards balance, sense of symmetry, and equal feeling on your right and your left side. And from the pelvis, moving up into the lower back. Noticing if one side of the lower back has a deeper curve, or one side is closer to the floor. Bringing attention more than feeling like you need to fix anything. Just becoming aware. Noticing how your rib cage rests on the floor. relaxing and softening the weight of the shoulders down. Letting your tongue flatten and widen inside the mouth as the root of the tongue retreats back. And the cheeks spread away from the nose. The eyes are like liquid flowing into the back of the head. Feeling the liquid surrounding the brain. Spinal fluid flowing from the brain down the back of the neck, down the spine, slowly following it all the way down the spine to the sacrum as that liquid pools at the base of the spine. Feeling the balanced spine connect the brain, the head, down into the pelvis. Resting with this sense of flow, moving along the central channel, flowing rivers moving from the brain down into the pelvis via the spinal cord. Taking care of yourself as you start to deepen your breath. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. And rolling to your side. From your side, using your hands to press yourself up to a comfortable seat. And take the palms together. Feel your eyes shifting back again as if you're coming right back into Shavasana. Feeling this transition of the spine vertical. all beings find happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings never be parted from freedom's true joy. May all beings dwell in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. Take a breath in, and exhale, fold forward. Namaste.
Are you enjoying this podcast? I've chosen to offer these audio recordings freely for over 15 years. I do this because research shows yoga, yoga nidra, and Feldenkrais to be valuable practices, those which I would like to share widely. Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, has always been a pillar of my business. And more generally, dana is the inclination to give without expecting any form of repayment. It does, however, take a fair amount of time, effort, and cost to maintain and keep the podcasts available. If you feel you've benefited from what you've learned from these classes, then please do consider making a contribution towards the maintenance and upkeep of the classes. It will help ensure that I can continue to offer the podcast classes freely and keep generating new material. Give what you can, give what feels good. If it's too little, it won't feel good. If it's too much, it won't feel good. Links to support the show monetarily can be found in the show notes. And other ways to give include sharing the podcast with others, leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just sending me an email with how the classes have affected you. Thanks so much.